All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live with Inside the IFL. Gonna check the audio with everybody, considering YouTube's been giving people issues. Episode 39 tonight. This won't be a long episode. This is gonna be a quick, brief type episode. Cause I'm a tired individual here tonight because I didn't get no sleep yet, and I work third shift. Wife wanted to do some things today, so happy wife, happy life. So we did a few things, took care of a few things, and what have you. So last time I actually went to bed, believe it or not, which is crazy, was Tuesday night, and I woke up Wednesday morning at 7:30. So I've been up since 7:30 a.m. Wednesday morning like a crazy ass. So but nonetheless, this is gonna be a quick little couple hitters and a few little issues here within the league, so guys know what's going on. Keep you in the loop. Remember, the draft is a week from tomorrow, and it'll be the first 3 rounds on the 20th of October. The time's still to be determined. I'm not 100% sold on when exactly the time's going to be. It all depends on my wife's schedule and things like that. My gut feeling tells me it's going to be 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Eastern. That's my guess. I'm not exactly sure how long the 3 rounds is going to take. I know I've been in talks with a lot of the owners. A lot of the owners know exactly who they're targeting, what they want to do. Um, I won't reveal names, but some of the players are hot commodities. I'll say that. Some people are very interested in some of the same people. So, it's all good. And, so it's going to be, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So, um, and then round 4 through 6 again will then be that Sunday, the 22nd. They'll probably be around the same time that day. So either way, gentlemen, if you're not gonna make this draft, I need a big board, not just 3 names, not just 4 names. I need a board of names, a bunch of damn names. I'm talking like 20, 30, 40 names. Because if you do your math, it's 3 rounds. And if you don't make the draft in a 3-round draft with 16 teams, if you can't add real quick, if you just take your 16 times that by 3, that's 48 picks. You need at least 48 names on your list just in case every single person that just so happens to make your big board gets taken in the draft. You also need to be precise with your big board if you're needing me to make your picks for you. Do you want a certain position taken in a certain round? Do you want a certain type of individual taken in a certain round? Is it just give me the best player on the board on my list when I come up? I need all that information. I've had a couple big boards sent to me just in case, and not one has had more than 5 names. That's not going to work. So, got to do the time. You got to do due diligence. I put time into this league, effort into this league, and it takes hours. This is your team. If you only want to put a few minutes into it, then that's on you when you don't win, because this league is going to be tough. We've got a lot of tough coaches in this league this season. It's not going to be like last year. Arizona, I hope you're ready, because there's no way in hell you're going 13-1 this season. I can guarantee it's not going to happen. So, just do your due diligence. Get your work in, get the effort in. I want to talk about uniforms. I would like to honestly start building the rosters sooner than later so I can have everything done by December the 1st. For me to build the rosters, I have to have uniforms locked in. I'm aware of at least one more team who wants to make a small change or a big change. I'm not exactly sure which. Either way, they're making a change to their uniform. They're aware I need that sooner than later, so they're going to be working on that. So if you're one of those teams who says, you know what, maybe I need to make a small minor change to my uniform, make a major change to my uniform, whatever you want to do, that's perfectly okay. It's perfectly fine. I just need that before the draft. Would love to give you an earlier deadline, but I'm trying to be considerate to everybody. It's your team. I know you want to have fun with it. So please get me it sooner than later. But if you don't give me it before the draft, it's not going to matter. You're going to be locked in with what you have now, and that'll be that. Um, I want to touch on a message I got from Chris Davis. He even brought it up in the chat room just moments ago. Did I get his message about the tier change? The original plan was to lock players into their tier, into their ability selected, and what have you. But I'm always willing to listen to things and open my ears and my eyes to other things, as long as the community within the IFL is willing to listen to such things. So if everyone in the International Football League is okay with an owner saying, you know what, I would like to possibly swap this tier to that tier, I'm okay with it. But if the league as a whole thinks that's wrong and guys should be continued to be locked in, then I'm okay with that too. So I'm going to take it to the community, bring it up for discussion on Slack. If someone wants to comment on what I just said, to start the conversation, go for it. If Mr. Davis would like to bring up the issue for it to get comment on, go for it. You know, whatever we get, whatever the feedback is, that's what I'm okay with. But all rosters will be locked in before the draft, so you know exactly what you have as far as gold, silver, bronze, and copper heading into the draft, so you know what to and what not to possibly select for your team. So I know where you're at salary cap wise. So I know what's going on. So just get all that together, get all your due diligence is done, and by all means, bring up the topic for discussion, and let's see what the guys within the league have to say. And I'm good with that. I want to say welcome to Heath McDaniel, who's joined the league, and I can't say the guy's name, and I know I'm going to butcher it, and I apologize for it up front. I think it's David Yanis and Daniel Yanis, father and son. Welcome those guys in. You know, they're already landing jobs in the league, which is going to be cool. So they're here, ready to go. You know, and I'm excited for this league this season. You know, I mean, we're moving more and more towards big things. I know that for a fact. And at the end of the day, I'm really stoked. You know, it was 16 teams. Also, be aware the schedule is done. I've already put together the schedule. I did a little generator type deal. This way I can put it together nicely. And that being said, I ain't revealing it just yet. And the reason why I'm not revealing it just yet is I'm going to do a show where I'm going to announce who's playing who's doing what. And then we're going to put it up for and pick them. We're going to put it up for debate what's going to be kind of like the game of the week. Now, with 16 teams, me running the running forward the games, it's going to be hard to consider which one's exactly the game of the week, what is going to be the hot spot, if you will. So either way, you know, if a game gets run live, that's what this game would be voted on. And remember, it's going to be the Pacific Conference, the Atlantic Conference, and the 8 teams in the Atlantic Conference, even though they're split into 2 divisions, you're going to play everybody twice. Same in the Pacific. They're in 2 divisions. They're going to play everybody twice. And not only just each of the 3 teams within your division, but the other 4 teams outside of your division within your conference. So it'll be your 14 games. So that's going to help when it also comes to playoff time. Who's going to win the playoffs? And speaking of playoffs, the division winners each make a playoffs. They earn a playoff berth. And the top 2 teams, as far as record, will earn the wild card spots. So 4 teams from each conference will make it into the playoffs. In case you were unaware of that, because I did get a couple questions on that within the last couple of weeks. I'm going to defer to the chat room here in a minute. So if anybody in the chat room has any questions, thoughts, comments, anything that I haven't not said, mentioned, brought up that you feel we need to address here on the air, please do so. And I'll get to those. Now I'm going to check the rosters here. Like I said, we got a few guys that are free agents that were never picked up. I've been getting questions about non-star guys, like non-star offensive linemen. Since they were a non-star offensive lineman last season, can they be signed this season as a non-star offensive lineman? Technically, yes. But those guys are considered free agents. And most of those guys never got back to me on a message I had sent to them prior to the free agent period. So I don't know who is or isn't around, to be quite honest, that wants to remain as an offensive lineman. I've gotten a few people that actually responded, sent me messages this past week. If they wish to remain in the league as offensive linemen, more power to them. But they'll be going into the free agent pool. So they can't sign with nobody until after the draft. Because we mostly put non-stars on offensive linemen, I am giving those guys the options to retire said players and create new ones on the offensive side of the ball if they so desire to get them involved in the draft and become star players. So, I mean, I love linemen, both sides of the football, but within this league, offensive linemen get no hype, no glory, no love. It's just the way it goes. So I don't know why you'd want an offensive lineman, but if you do, more power to you. I'm okay with it. It's perfectly fine. But your player will enter the free agent market where you can possibly be picked up after the draft. Now, if your 14-man roster is full, yes, you can sign these guys to your team under non-star contracts. That's going to be perfectly okay. So it's not like you got to pay them and fit them under cap and put them on a tier and all that other good stuff. So it is what it is. All right, now getting to the draft. I'm just going to go over to round one right now because this is the round one draft order. So everyone's aware. It's going to be the Philadelphia flight. As I said before, the Philadelphia flight is on the clock. If you want the Philadelphia flight's pick, trust me, it's going to take something because I know Mr. Davis is targeting in on a certain player or two. And I'm sure he's been going back and forth who he wants, who he doesn't want. So if you want that pick, you got to pony up. The Tokyo Kitsune got the number 2 pick. The Denver Yeti has the number 3 pick. The defending IFL champions, the Arizona Outlaws, pick 4th. The Nashville Nightmares are 5th. The New York Cobras are 6th. The Green Bay Grizzlies are 7th. Boston Liberty 8th. Chicago Assassins 9th. The Philadelphia Flight come back and pick again. It's a 10th slot. The Bulldogs pick at 11th. The Rhinos are 12th. The Crusaders are 13th. The Wranglers are 14th. The Bulls are 15th. And the Stallions pick 16th. The one team that does not have a pick in the first round is the Detroit Hawks due to the trade of giving up the number 1 overall selection. But what they ended up doing was getting the flight's picks in the second and third round. And when you look at the draft board, those are the 10th overall picks in each round. So the Hawks will be picking 1st and 10th in both rounds 2 and 3 for giving up that first overall pick. And they also got Duncan Northrup, the running back, in that deal. So it was a pretty good package deal for them. Chisholm says he can't hear crap but static. I don't understand what's going on with YouTube anymore. So if somebody's got an alternative to YouTube for shows like this, by all means, shoot me a message and let me know because I don't know what's going on. Rory Harlow, will we see a rookie spot or something? I'm not exactly sure what you mean, so please explain that a little bit more for me, Rory, and I'll try to answer that. David says trades are nullified. He's not trading this pick to anyone. Chris, Mr. Spectacular Pooh. What if someone gives you such an offer? It's just unbelievable. You just couldn't possibly turn it down. I think then you would take the deal. But yeah, I'm with you. There's a couple builds in this draft, and I know if I was an owner, I'd be targeting them. And then what's great is a couple of the players, and this is what I love about this game. There's 16 owners, and all 16 of these owners could have a different ideal thought on what the perfect build is on, say, a running back. So, or a quarterback, corner, safety, whatever it might be. All completely different. But the 2-3 players, and there's 2 or 3 players that are getting a lot of hype in my discussions with these owners. I don't like any of them. That's the fun part. They're not the build I like. There's a couple players that I'd be totally down for that are getting a little bit of talk from other teams. So that's what's going to be cool about it. So he says, Mr. Davis says, because I'd run too much of a risk of getting a top-tier player. The corner or running back I'm looking for could be gone before the 10th pick. Well, if you traded, say, the number 1 pick down to maybe 3, 4, 5, chances are you could get one of those guys and then get some extra picks somewhere else. You never know. You never know. It's all part of the strategy. It's all part of the game. That's why I said you got to really look over these builds, really evaluate them. And I've noticed there's some similar builds out there. And some of you guys have helped me put together some of these non-star players, or I'm sorry, rookies. To all those guys who've sent me some, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And it's never too late to send me a couple builds. Now, the one rule we had here in the league was you were not allowed to make non-human players for your team to fill spots, because it would give you the advantage of making a player precisely to your scheme rather than find one in the draft. But this is where the loophole comes in. I need the help creating players because I don't have all the time in the world to do it. So this is where you can get a loophole in and say, you know what? I would love to be able to draft a free safety with said build. Create it. Send it to me. I'll put him in the draft, and then maybe he'll still be there when it's your time to pick. Simple. Roy Harlan means, are we going to see a rookie reveal before the draft? Yeah, I'm going to post the rookies tomorrow at some point because it'll be exactly 1 week from the draft. So I'm going to be posting the rookie board for the whole league to see, so they can see the player names, the builds, the heights, the weights, and then the community as a whole can start hyping players, saying, oh, my God, I like this guy's size. Oh, maybe I like this guy's build, or whatever it might be. And I mean, may be entertaining. So look for that tomorrow because it'll give us a full week to talk about it. Because again, the draft is 1 week from tomorrow, which is exciting. And tomorrow's Friday the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. So that's another reason why I didn't do the draft that early, because Friday the 13th, it's actually my best friend's birthday tomorrow too. Jimmy Smith, and we do have a player that was entered in, James Smith, which I thought was kind of cool. We call him Dinkle. That's his nickname, the Dink. But he debated about getting involved in the league, but this guy works 60 to 70 hours a week. He just figured he would be a name and nothing more, and he didn't want to disrespect the league and everybody. I told him, man, nobody would care. That's cool, but, he voted against it on his own. So we didn't have him in the league, but we did get a James Smith. And you'll be seeing him on the field this year. But again, if you guys have any questions, let me know, because I'm going to take these questions and I'm going to answer them as quick as I can. And like I said, this is all this one's for, because I've been getting hit with a lot of questions. Figured just get on here, hit a lot of things at once, put it out there so everybody has a way of listening to it. Can always listen to the playback and see what they think. Oh, no, Matthew Soper, you didn't miss too much, brother. I mean, I mentioned the draft date. Told guys if they meant to make changes with their uniforms, get it in before the draft. And then I'm going to reveal the draft board tomorrow for the whole league. So that's why, guys, send me some stuff tonight for players. I got about 7 to 10 players sitting in my inbox from a particular member within the league that I didn't get added to the board yet. So if you want to send me some guys, I'll be honest with you, I need players at certain positions because we're low on certain spots. And I will read those to you. I just want to double check my list to make sure I'm not crazy. I am crazy. I just want to make sure I'm not nuts on what positions we need. So if you're interested in helping out the league, you can take notes, so to speak, and say, okay, we need these kinds of players in the league. Let me double check my list before I say anything. But yeah, we need a couple more fullbacks. There's actually only 4 fullbacks on the big board. I don't think that many teams. I don't think that many teams are going to be making fullbacks, but it's cool. And if you can, when you send me the player, could you write name and then put a colon in his name? And then put height, weight, position, abilities. just categorize everything. So it's name, height, weight, position, abilities, and put a colon after it, and then what he's got. Wow, what's the wackiest non-human player name you've gotten? I really don't know. I'd have to look over the board, but there's been some fun ones. But fullbacks are needed. Defensive linemen, both tackles and ends. We could use some corners, definitely some safeties. Have 5 kickers, punters, because remember in the IFL, if you're a kicker, you can also punt for the same team, or if you're a punter, you can also kick for the same team. You can cover both positions, which makes it more entertaining. Only got 5 of those, so I don't know how many teams plan on carrying a special teamer. So that being said, I would say maybe we need a couple more of those. But to answer Rory's question, what are some of the crazier, wackier names that we've got? I'm going to go down the list. The one I think is hilarious. It's at Green Machine on Slack. He's a member of our community. He actually created a quarterback, Johnny LaRusso, which I just find hilarious because it's John Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso blended together from Karate Kid. I just thought that was hilarious. And at McMorris on Slack, he has Jarrett Bradenshaw. Not a crazy name, but his quarterback, 6'7", 246 pounds. That's just a monster of a freaking player. I'm going to go through this list here and see if I can find some interesting names. Mickey Stone, I thought, is a unique name. Emery Callahan. Shad Power at quarterback. Pito June, a running back. Alan Magnum, I thought that was hilarious. And I talked to Ed about that one because Ed was a diehard Magnum TA fan. And Magnum TA stood for Magnum. TA was Terry Allen, which was his real life name. And it's Ed's favorite wrestler. And this guy's Alan Magnum. So at AJ Cotton has a running back named Booger Lynch. That's a different name. At Magic Panda Box has Kenny Cleveland. So that one's cool. Running back Jazz Vanderboom. There's a unique name. Theo Flood is another running back. Theo Flood is 5'6", 170 pounds. 5'6", 170 pounds for the Theo Flood. But I do like his build. Like I said, it's not going to be no secret to anybody. Let me get to it real quick, and I can read it to you. All right, here he goes. Theo Flood, 5'6", 170 pounds, and he's got speed burner, quick feet, breakaway burst, branching tackles, soft hands, and cutback ability. He's a little ass dude. So I thought that one was pretty cool. Fullback David Supernaw. If anybody knows all pro football, you know the Supernaw name. Wide receiver Pierce Waterloo. There's a unique name. Hunter Breeden, which is at H Breeden 2443. Dallas Whitaker, which is at Whitaker Boy. These are wide receivers. Charlie Montana, which is at Silver Goose, who's a wide receiver. Tito Gonzalez, a 6'6", 247-pound tight end, which is at Surfman on Slack. So these are some human players, non-humans, but I'm just throwing these out because I'd love to see all the human guys get drafted for sure. 6'6", 240 tight end, non-human is Zeus Kelp. Zeus Kelp. That was, wow, when I saw that one for some reason. Moving into the defensive side of the ball. Gio Lopez Vegas is a defensive end, 6'5", 280. Horatio Albert, another defensive end. Husky House, 6'6", 352, defensive tackle at Seabrook on Slack. I'm going through the list here. See what else I can come up with. I'm really looking here. Moose Marshall, an inside linebacker. Toledo Hernandez is another inside linebacker. I thought that was an interesting name. Nate Fabricio, another inside linebacker. Dallas McKnight at corner. Let's see what else we have. Pharaoh Legau. I'm still trying to get a confirmation from at Whitaker Boy. The only Legau I've ever known was Munchie, which was the old quarterback in college football. It was Munchie Legau. So I'm assuming it's Pharaoh Legau. It's Legaux. So I'm going with Legau until I hear differently. So it is what it is. Let me see what else we have here. Trayvon Webb. I will tell you this. I brought my old safety from the SFL in, Dylan McGregor. He was a non-human player that I created for my LA Sharks. I brought him into the IFL draft, 6'3", 225 at strong safety. He's got coverage bonus, footsteps, ball hawk, helmet high tackles, closing speed, and is a return specialist. So those are some players just thrown out there. I just think there's some interesting builds. Let's see. Chisholm says, is Ed okay? He hasn't seen him around all day. I called the 2 battered women's shelters in Ohio, and I found he hadn't checked in. Spec says, I normally don't make this known, but GT Williams could be the first guy off the board. Lockdown potential. Since he brings up GT, give me a minute to locate him. GT Williams is at Magic Panda Box, 6'2", 200-pound corner. He has got a quick feet, ball hawk, speed burner, leadership, footsteps, coverage bonus build. I'd have to say it's a very solid build. I have to admit, that's a very solid build. And he definitely could be lockdown potential if he's put within the right system. That's the crazy part. You could get the most perfect, ideal build for a player, and you get put into a situation where the team doesn't have the smartest of defensive coordinators, and he's just garbage. You end up making him become a free agent. He goes to a new team, and he ends up becoming the best player. We've seen this in real life. So you know for a fact it's going to happen within the IFL. I want to give a shout out to TJ Johnston. He's been working hard for me behind the scenes, working on a couple logos. If all goes well, he'll have those taken care of within the week. I'll be able to reveal those. Has to do with the divisions, and we'll be putting those out there. So it's simple. That's what we wanted, simple. And I think they look sharp. Just some minor tweaks and adjustments that are being worked on. So I want to thank TJ for that. And good luck to his Baltimore Bulls this season, because I know him and Mighty have been working hard, putting this little roster together theirs. So let me see. Yeah, I'm just checking. No more other statements, comments. If you guys got something, throw it at me. And like I said, Ed's not on the call, as you can tell, or I'd be talking to him. He's going through personal day, everyday life stuff as a dad and a husband. He gets tied up. He gets busy. Sleeper wide receiver. A sleeper wide receiver? Wow. Let me give a look. I'll give you my opinion. I'll give you my opinion on a wide receiver I can't see many people jumping on, but I can believe could be something if given the right opportunity. Let's see. I know people like the taller receivers instead of the smaller receivers. Like Whitaker's like 6'4", Hunter Braden's 6'6", but guys like Brian Holt, David Jones, they're only 5'11". But what I like about, let's say, a Brian Holt is he's got clutch. He's got speed burner, breakaway burst. He's got soft hands. This is the kind of guy you could hit in a clutch situation, say out of the slot if you wanted the third wide receiver. David Jones has got tough in the middle. He's got breakaway burst. He's missed the third down, soft hands. These are builds that I like, but they're smaller guys. Like I said, 5'11", 197. The other one's 5'11", 175. And I can see them being overlooked because of their size. So that's just an honest opinion on my end. The draft is 1 week from tomorrow. It'll be on the 20th of October. And yeah, David Jones could be Julian Edelman. As far as the time goes, Mr. Chisholm, it's not 100% sold yet. I have to honestly wait to see what my wife's schedule is because I don't have the luxury of being a single guy and whatever, or being in a relationship and putting my league first. I put my family first, and I put my wife first and my kids first. So I work everything around her schedule, just to make sure, happy wife, happy life. So whatever her schedule is, that's when I'll set this up. But she's been pulling a lot of 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. shifts. And if that's what she pulls again next Friday, which it's almost a sure thing, but I don't want to say that it's going to be, I'm going to probably run the draft round 6. This way I can get on the air, get those 3 rounds done before she'd get out of work at 9 so I can pick her up from work and do it that way. And then Sunday would probably be about the same thing, just to be safe. It might even be earlier. If the owners could do it, hell, we might even be able to do one in the afternoon that day. It's something we'll have to get in touch with everybody with. So, you think. Chisholm says her schedule is what you tell her it is. No, I like my penis where it is. Oh, my God. Mr. Davis is just throwing out all kinds of names. He likes Kelp at tight end. He said he liked Hunter Breeden at wide receiver. Nice telling Gilbert's the second best player at his position. So he's all up on this board. But yeah, I'm going to turn this over to you guys. If anyone's got, like I said, any final thoughts, questions, comments, whatever, throw them at me right now. I'll get it out here on the air. If not, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to try and get a hold of Ed sooner than later so we can do another podcast. I would really like to go over the 16 teams in more detail. Try to make a guess and assumption where they may or may not go for the first round. And what have you, because like I said, we'll talk about, we can just go right into Philadelphia because they have the number 1 pick. And their build is no secret. It was released. They got a gold strong safety. They have a silver corner and a silver wide receiver. They have a bronze free safety, a bronze inside linebacker, and a bronze quarterback. Now, the quarterback is in question. Mr. Davis would like to move the quarterback to a different tier. Like I said, me personally, I'm fine with it either way. It doesn't matter to me. It's his team. It's his build. If he wants to say, hey, you get a contract, renewed your contract, redid a contract with a player to move him up, I'm okay with it as long as our community doesn't cry about it. That's why I've deferred to everybody. If you don't have an issue with it, let me know. If I don't see much discussion on this within the next, say, 12 hours, I'm going to defer to Mr. Davis and say, you may do as you please, sir. If there becomes a debate where it might be an issue, then we may have to have a serious vote on it sooner than later because he does have a team build to create. So this is honestly something I'd like to have resolved within 48 hours max so he can move on with his team. Guys in the chat have any issues with it, let me know. I wish there could be some visuals during the draft because I personally am not a graphics guy. I'm personally not any of that stuff. What I did when I created this league, and I'm going to say this as honest and as bluntly as possible without pulling punches. I came from the world of a league that I loved. I enjoyed. It was great until I saw its true colors and I began to see through things. People can argue with me on my statements till they're blue in the face. That's cool. I know what's what, and I wanted a league that was going to be on the up and up. That's the honestly way I can put it. I just have to be real here. So what I provide here with the IFL is a league that's on the up and up. It's fun. It's as realistic as possible. We have sliders that were studied for weeks, months by Mr. Chris Davis and myself, making sure we put together the most possible realistic game you can see. I hear so much about Madden this, Madden that. Madden's a joke. Period. This is the best game as far as football goes. I literally sat here and created a couple teams on NCAA football, created a couple teams on Madden, and this is with over the last 2 years, just to run some sims. And some games could be entertaining and fun, and I don't want to take no shot at Smitty in the Relocation Football League because he did a phenomenal job, and it's not his fault. It's the game. Those games are not as entertaining as what you see from leagues that use all pro football. That's fact. But what you don't see in any other league that you see in the IFL is legit shit. And that's the only way I'm going to word it. Our games are off the chart. The way things happen are off the chart. You can't cheese in this league. You just can't. You cannot cheese in the IFL. There's not a play that you can cheese with. And if it exists, nobody's found it yet. And that's on either side of the ball. In other leagues, you can cheese the shit out of things, and that ruins the credibility of the league. Whether it's by default, by choice, by mistake, it don't make a difference. It hurts its credibility. So while I suck at giving you visuals, while I suck at giving you that kind of stuff, I apologize, but what I'm trying to give you is the best on-field product as possible. And as owners and as coaches and as players, you put the time and the effort in to be winners. Me having pretty little pictures, me having pretty little graphics isn't going to help pick and determine whether you win or lose. But what we put together on the field will. So to me, that was our number one priority, and I believe strong-heartedly that we've succeeded in that aspect. And if we haven't, I apologize. If you see something we can improve, by all means, throw it at me because I'd like to do it. I saw Mighty ask, and I got to get onto this, how many? He said, how long between picks? I don't want the draft to last forever, and I'm sure you guys don't either. So if you take 16 teams and just say you gave each team 2 minutes to pick, and each team used all 2 minutes, that's 32 minutes for one round, which makes the draft over an hour and a half long for the first 3 rounds. But at the same time, I don't want to be a jerk and say you get 1 minute because this is going to be a big draft board. There's going to be a lot of names. There's going to be a lot of players, and you're going to have to figure out exactly who you want. That's why I say to everybody, even if you're going to be present, create a big board, put it together. So this way, when it comes time for your pick, you can make a selection so much quicker, so much more efficient. You know precisely where you need to go, where you don't want to go. Get your strategy together. And then it will not only be smoother for you, it's smoother for me, it's smoother for everybody else in the league, and it makes the draft go that much more smoother, much more easier, much more faster. So while the 2 minutes around per pick in the round sounds crazy and 1 minute sounds ignorant, I'm figuring 90 seconds per pick is going to be where we're at. So I'm thinking 90 seconds should work. So we'll see. That's just the way it's going to be. So you do the math on that. It cuts the time not necessarily in half, but it does cut some of that 32 minutes down. I think it brings it to 24 minutes. It should be 24 minutes. I'm trying to do my math in my head. You see, Mighty said his big board's already ready, and each day I've been updating. So he already knows when I delete the current board and put the new one in, there's new names, and I'm sure he finds those new players and then slips them in where it need to be. I've been sitting here trying to talk to my son, Marcus, who runs the San Diego Bulldogs. He had asked me for advice. I told him, I said, look, I'm not going to give you advice because to me that would take away the credibility of the league. But what I will tell you is take every single player and just put them in an order. Start from the beginning. And that's what I told him. I said, take the first 2 quarterbacks on the list, take the one you think's the best, put him at 1, put the other one at 2. Then just keep going down the list and put a guy above the next guy, wherever you think he's better, wherever you need him. Now you have your big board done. To me, it's easy. Put together a big board. I've done this with drafts before, doing leagues like this, not just, with All Pro, but I've been at Madden leagues and other things. And you put together the big boards, just like when you did fantasy football. You put together your big board. You know precisely what you want. If I'm in round one of a fantasy football league, depending on if it's, PPR or running, whatever the key is, chances are I want a good running back who catches the football. So he's at the top of my list. Like I told everybody this year, do not pick Johnson, take Bell. Because Johnson will not be worth the pick. He got hurt. I told a lot of people stay clear of Beckham. He got hurt, which was kind of weird. It's like a jinx these guys. But if you're in a PPR league, you want a good running back because he's going to get you running yards. He's going to catch the ball. But by the time your pick comes up, if the good PPR running backs are gone, then maybe your strategy's out the window and you go with the top PPR wide receiver to get those bonus points. Same thing here in this league. Figure out your board. Like I'm going to go to Baltimore since Mighty's in the room, for example. They have all three of their golds locked in, but they have two silvers they need to solidify that build. Where are they going to go? At this point, their guess is as good as any. Do they go corner because they already have one in gold and have a gold corner and silver corner? Do they throw in a silver wide receiver to go with a gold wide receiver? Do they throw in some linebackers because they do have a linebacker inside? They don't have the strong safety, so does he end up at silver? They could go anywhere. Your guess is as good as anybody's guess. But they have to put together their big board. So let's just, for example, we need a silver corner. But by the time it comes for them to pick the ideal corners that they would like to put at safety, ideal corners they like to put at silver are gone, do they just, settle for something else? Or is that when Mighty and TJ have to have that quick interaction, say, you know what? Maybe we need to drop that down to bronze and move this guy up to silver because we have an ideal build for this position that we were going to put at bronze. That stuff could happen during the draft. That's why you got to be there and pay attention. But if you can't make it, like I said, life comes first. So that's where the interesting things going to come in. Because I did that when I had the Sharks. I knew precisely who I wanted, when I wanted them. And twice the guy I wanted was gone. So I had to make quick edits, quick changes. And, it was what it was. But, all right, gentlemen. I think Mighty was implying he sent me some players. That's great. Or is going to. Either way, that's awesome. I appreciate anyone who helps out. Excuse me, I actually had to yawn. Oh my gosh. It's going on 8 o'clock and I'm yawning like crazy. But if there's no more questions, then I'm going to wrap this up. And Mr. Davis, your situation is a big piece of information, big situation coming out of this show. So by all means, you can either feel free, and I think you may have already done it on Slack, or someone else can get the debate going. If you're okay with him changing the tier of his quarterback, let me know. If you're not okay, let me know. And put the discussion right there in the open on Slack. Get the dialogue going, and we'll try to have a decision made on that by tomorrow from Mr. Davis so he can move forward with his team build and his big board and where he's going with his team. Because like I said, it does not bother me one bit. So let's see. No more questions. You said you was going to get to Philly when it goes to starting out the draft, so I can't wait for that. Not sure what the hell you mean, Davis, but as far as your quarterback situation goes, like I said, I need to have that settled hopefully before the end of tomorrow so you can work on your big board. I need to know exactly what the league wants to do as far as your quarterback goes. Because right now he's a bronze. The one thing I'll say is this. Whatever abilities you put on him, those have to stay locked in. That's not changing. And you currently have a quarterback with 4 abilities. So with 4 abilities at bronze, you could move him to silver with 4 abilities or all the way to gold with 4 abilities. But those 4 abilities are not adding or lowering. That's got to be locked in. That's the only thing I would say has to stay locked. Okay. So, all right. Well, don't look like there's any more questions, thoughts, whatnot. Like I said, I'm going to get together with Ed, try to do a podcast where him and I can have some dialogue back and forth, go over some team builds, go over some guesses. If deadline matters, then he can't change the QB tier. If deadlines matter, it's a valid point. Mighty says if we have deadlines and there was deadlines for a reason, then it should matter, and then they should be locked in. It's a valid point. Do a live mock draft. Possible. And it's funny you say that because I was actually talking to Ed about the possibility of doing that, where him and I would go back and forth. I'd be this team, he'd be that team, and just guess where guys are going to go. But, you know, it's so up in the air with some of these teams. Some teams only got 5 players on their team. And it's going to be a 6-round draft, which means they're going to have 11 players, which means they're going to have to sign 3 guys in the free agent cycle after the draft. So it's crazy where guys are going to go and what guys are going to do. But either way, I'm stoked for it. I'm beyond ecstatic. It's felt like season 1 ended forever ago. And so, I mean, here we go. Trying to get this going for season 2, bumping to 16 teams. And it's just craziness. You know, I would love to have some more people stream games for us, too. Take some workload off of myself, Mr. Davis, and what have you. And a double checking, this way you guys know, the IFL Victory Bowl 1, so you guys, in case you did not remember, was September the 9th, which, 12th. It's over a month ago. So Monday was exactly 1 month since the league ended. So we're going to be doing our draft basically 6 weeks after the championship game and getting this rolling. A lot of people thought this was quick, this was too early, and it could have been. But the one thing I've noticed is there's been a lot of talk, a lot of hype. Slack's been pretty much bumping. I've been getting PMs like crazy from people. And to those people who send me messages but don't post out in the open, please start posting out in the open. Let guys know you're around. This way they can see it. Because there's a lot of rookies that I talk to privately that just don't post out in the open. You know, so start doing that. So guys know you're around. It might increase your chances of being taken in the first round. Because like I said, I'd love to have the human players selected before any of the non-human players. But guys are going to fill their rosters to be winners. So, I mean, it is what it is. Mighty says, if there aren't enough players to fill all teams, will they be stuck signing the parties that are left available even though they don't fit their intended team build? We're trying to put together a massive draft board. So this way, any team that doesn't fill their roster via the draft will have players to pick from in free agency. So whoever is on the rookie draft board, those are the players you're either going to draft or the players you're going to sign in free agency to fill your roster. That's where they're going to come from. But we want to make sure there's enough players at all positions. So if you, for example, have a bronze player open and you want to make that, say, a defensive end, we don't want to come down to where there's no defensive ends left and then you're stuck signing, say, another free safety or a third wide receiver or whatever it might be. You get to get that defensive end if that's what it was you wanted. So all positions are going to have enough players available for you to get the exact position you need. Whether or not that position's got the precise build you were looking for, that's the question. But that's where the realism comes in. When NFL teams go to the podium with the card on who they drafted, 99% of the time, that player is not the most perfect, ideal build of what they wanted, but it's the closest they could find. And now they just try to mold it to their system. And that's what we want to do here because it makes it interesting. Because if everybody can have the most perfect, ideal, freaking build, that's insane. What? Chisholm says, Word. So if you have a quarterback with return specialists, get a bed because you'll be in the green room all weekend, rookie. Yeah. There's some interesting builds. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's all I can say. Some very interesting builds. And I like it. But yeah, guys, pay attention to Slack. I'm going to drop a time and date for another show sooner than later. Like I said, with Ed, I'm going to do a couple more of these shows. So, but my kids are starting to creep out of their bedroom. It's getting late. It's getting closer to their bedtime. Yeah, that's not going to happen, Mighty. He says no, more like they wanted a wide receiver and all that's left are tight ends and fullbacks. That's not going to happen. We are going to make sure that does not happen. There's going to be that many players left that you're going to get the precise position you want in free agency. It's just going to happen. And if it's not, for some reason, and we screwed up, I'm going to make more players and just throw them out as free agents. Just way guys get the precise build they want as far as positions in the tier. You know, the build of the individual player, that's not going to be handpicked for anybody. But they're definitely going to make sure that guys can get the actual team build that they so desire. Ooh. I hope that answered your question. Oh, sorry for the dead air. I'm absolutely tired of my whole body's like cramping and joints are stopping working and all that other good stuff. So Chisholm says he can tell some guys aren't familiar with what abilities working and at what position. Chances are some of these nuts, and I say that as a term of endearment, put together some wild builds just for the heck of it, just for shits and giggles to see what guys land with. Makes it interesting. Let's put it that way. So, all right, gentlemen, you can hit me up on Slack with any more questions, comments, thoughts, opinions. Like I said, the big debate coming out of the show is Mr. Davis wants to move his quarterback from bronze, if it's okay. Like I said, it doesn't bother me so much. Mighty comes up with the perfect argument of if we had deadlines for said thing, then shouldn't it be held accountable? And if he can move it, what was the point of the deadline? That is the most perfect argument. So I would say this. Coffin corner linebackers. If somebody actually made a coffin corner linebacker, what the hell? Because I haven't really looked at abilities on players. I just copied and pasted a lot of stuff. Wow. But nonetheless, that's legit. Nonetheless, like I said, have the dialogue on Slack, see what we come up with. All I'm going to say is to Mr. Davis is be prepared to have your quarterback locked in at bronze because Mighty's made a very, very huge point, and I think that point will carry a lot of weight with the people within the league. But the people who are open-minded, so, man, what a big deal. So it is what it is. You know, we just got to see where everybody feels about it personally. You know, so whatever guys want, we got. So just think of that opinion from Davis and think about the argument from Mighty because it's probably the solidest argument you're going to get. So I'm going to wrap this show up so I can go do a little bit of house cleaning real quick, grab my own shower before I go get the wife. Because I'll be leaving here in about 45 minutes. So appreciate everybody showing up here tonight, being a part of this, and getting involved in the live chat, sending me players because notice my Slack's been blowing up for the last 20 minutes. So again, I'll catch you on the next one. So be alert for it on Slack because I'll be posting a link ASAP. So until next time, I'll catch y'all's ass down the road. Later.